Hey, good morning, wonderful people. I want to quickly go with you over how these psych tests that I'm taking, the 12 tests, there are a total of 12, 6 in basic, 6 in advanced, and how do they work, and what is this thing called revealing the core that you see there? The core value system. The idea is to get to the core values that you hold and to bring it out and see how you can use best who you are and implement it. So we go through layers of psychology, the layers of your mind, the conscious, the subconscious, the behavior style, the thinking style, the emotional profile assessment, the inclination style, etc., etc. All of these tests, all of these things that we are doing. What are we doing that for? What is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to reveal that core which is shown like in the center of your brain, which is responsible for all your happiness, really. All that you will do, saying that I will feel like a fulfilled human being, I'll feel satisfied, I will feel content when I do this, I will feel satisfied when I accomplish this, or when I have this relationship, or when I have this job. But unless you know these layers that are already there in your own mind, how are you going to get there? That's the purpose of this, okay? So the inner circle is the basic level. The inner circle, you see all the subconscious tests, learning style tests, thinking style tests, temperament tests, all these reveal the first layer. It's like removing the first top layer of really how you spent your entire childhood. Really what it will reveal who you are at the basic level of personality, as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult. This is the formative years, really speaking. The kind of questions that is addressed in this test will bring out all those things from the childhood. What formed you as an individual? That's important to know first, right? So that's the basic level of 6 tests. Only 4 circles are shown in the inner and outer, but actually there are 6 tests. Then we go to the advanced level, there are 6 more tests there, 6 more Excel sheets. So 6 tests more, which will basically cover your emotional profile, your advanced thinking styles. Why I call advanced? Because this outer circle happens as you mature. This is for the more mature crowd. This is for the younger adults. This is for all adults, really. So advanced level will cover advanced thinking styles. You should know the type of intelligence you have and what all is good for you, what will feel nurturing to you, what you will shine in, what are your real talents, in which area of intelligence, and the inclination that you have. As a result of all those basic formative years, you have certain inclinations, and that's what that will show you over there, okay? So that's the idea. You go through layers, and the last test, the very last test we take at the end of the 12th one, which we will take, is the core values test. Why do I come to this the last and not the first? Because unless, it's like peeling an onion, unless the layers which are, so unless we are taking time to peel these onion layers, which we call the human mind, anyone's mind, yours mind, anyone's mind, how are we going to get to the core values? The core values is the last to arrive, because then the person who is evaluating themselves, himself or herself, it will make kind of sense to them. This is where I'm working from. This is what I wanted all along. And all of these behaviors, thinking styles, subconscious patterns which I have now, which I know now, first there has to be the epiphany, first there has to be the realization, first there has to be the awareness of what exists, what is in the bag first. So the outer layers of the onion, so to speak, have to be peeled off first in order for us to get to the bottom of the core, get to the bottom of the pan. What should I be working from, and are they aligned with my inner core values? Each one of us is very unique, so they will have a different set of core values. The core value system takes about 141 different parameters in which we will measure and score, which will tell you where your focus is, where your locus of internal energy is moving towards. Is it externally directed, and what is it externally directed to for me to achieve what kind of internal target? Everybody is working towards an external thing to achieve something which is already buried inside. That's the core value I'm talking about. The core idea that we are trying to strive towards. If you want to speak in esoteric terms, this has also got a soul energy attached to it. But that esoteric part we will deal with the Vedic astrology, the psychosomatic model. This is just the psychological tests based on the best models of psychology out there in the world today. I just happen to collect and collate and make a whole system around the most pragmatic, most researched and most popular psychological models that we have developed up until 2022. Up until now, these are the best ones that we have. Well, there are lots of online tests, lots of websites, lots of you name it, what. But in my research, about 3 years into this topic, when I did this back in 2016, 17, something like that, I found many tests to be very academic in nature, to be honest. Many psychological tests which are being used by both companies and by educational institutions to evaluate your talent, etc., are very archaic. They are very academic in nature. They are not really practical. And I am saying practical, just strictly my opinion of this. Because when I said I used to ask the same question each time I used to think, should I build this into the model? I used to ask the same question. Well, if I were at the receiving end of this, if I was a kid taking tests, if I was a young adult taking tests, would this make sense with all that I know as an experience by living in the professional world and the world outside? Nah, it won't really make any sense. So I used to discard those. Then take another test and discard those. So there were a lot of discards and going back and forth to evaluate the pragmatical part of whether this test will make sense or not, whether this test will make sense or not. Is it practical? Is it usable knowledge for somebody like a young adult? Does it fit into the real world? Not an academic exercise. This is not an intellectual exercise or a debate in trying to make something happen as a wishful thinking. This will really give you a grounded approach in what will work for you if you do certain things. Why? Why should you do certain things in your life? This is like getting to the why of things, right? Why should you take a certain approach or a certain path? It has to tie, all of these tests have to tie into that core value system. Unless you know your core values, you're just a drifting boat. Unless you know the destination, how will you plot the map to get there? You can have all the fanciest of GPS devices you want, but unless you know where you're going, any map is useless. Doesn't matter how precise your GPS location. You don't know where you're going. It's like getting on a taxi or getting on a plane and just saying drive. I just want to go. The first thing the driver or the pilot is going to end up asking you is, where do you want to go, sir? Destination is important. You can't be flying around forever. Okay, for a period of time you can just drift in your life, but this is to get to the core values so that you can better guide it. You can navigate your own life. That's the idea. The idea is to give you some degree of control of your life, mastery of your own destiny. Okay? So I think I'll leave you with this, and then we'll discuss more. If you want to check out my Facebook page, you can check it out my Facebook page. I'll put up a link everywhere here. Okay? So if you want to message or touch base with me and take a test, message me on Facebook. Meanwhile, take care, be safe, be awesome.